What is going on, Colts Nation? And welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Cody here, and joining me, special guest from the Blue Stable. Also, does a bunch of different podcasts. My friend Landon. Landon, welcome to the pod, man. How are you?
Thanks for having me on, Cody. I'm doing great. Just getting fully entrenched in draft season right now. As you know, if you follow me on Twitter, things are really starting to pop off, especially now that the Colts are officially in the top 10. So excited for all the draft coverage coming up and excited to talk some football with you today.
Absolutely, man. And you brought up a really good, I think, conversation piece a couple days ago, maybe like last week, just about the quarterback position, and since then the Colts have jumped a few teams. They're inside the top 10 now when it comes to drafting quarterbacks. And conversation that I think is worth having is you had tweeted out, I feel like Colts fans' perspectives of drafting a quarterback have been extremely warped by the past. Of course, referring to the last two first round picks the Colts have had, the last two first overall picks, I should add, the Colts have had drafting quarterbacks. Obviously Peyton Manning first and then Andrew Luck, two generational Hall of Fame talent kind of guys. And I think it's a great conversation piece because it seems like, Landon, people and just fans and just a lot of people in general have been critical and almost overly critical of every single quarterback, breaking down, picking apart every single quarterback and flaws to their game. And I think it's almost unfair, to look at all these quarterbacks and expect a polished, pro ready fully quarterback right off the gate. What are your thoughts, man, just on this quarterback position, just where the Colts are currently sitting and just some of these prospects this year?
Well, one, I think where they're sitting right now, it's in prime position. I mean, obviously, I fully expect Bryce Young to go one overall, but really any of the other guys, it opens up. I mean, you're talking about Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, C.J. Stroud. Possibly we'll have some more guys, declare as well. So it really is. They should have their pick of the litter outside of pick one if they want to move up to possibly get that guy, or if they want to stick where they're at right now. I think they're picking at 9 at the moment. We're having this conversation. Could be 8 after tonight, but I fully expect them to stay in the top 10, especially after last night's debacle. But yeah, it's just one of those things where fans just in general are overly critical of every player. I mean, there's not patience there. I mean, there's a reason fan is short for fanatic. So that's they view it through the lens of if this guy's not a Pro Bowler out the gate, which is what Colts fans especially have been used to the last two first round guys they've had. Well, not necessarily with Manning out of the gate, but I mean these are two of the three best quarterback prospects that I've ever evaluated. And that's going all the way back to guys I've looked into: John Elway, Peyton Manning, and Andrew Luck. Those are two of the three guys there. And that's the definition of the generational, which you hear that word thrown around all the time today. And I don't think that does anybody any favors either. But when you're looking into most other quarterbacks, instead of focusing on the negatives, what you want to do is you want to look at what they do well, how it translates into your franchise, your scheme, your coaching staff, and how you can utilize them to properly build around them and have them become that franchise guy for you. That's what the hope always is. So scouts, NFL GMs, guys that do this for a living, they don't go into it. I mean, do they look at the negatives of guys? Absolutely. You always have to account for that. But they don't go into it looking, as hey, this guy made a bad throw, he sucks. Hey, this guy can't do this, he sucks. What you're really looking at is, what can this guy do? How can he utilize his skill sets in our offense and our franchise? Is he able to carry, not just the team on the field, but it's going to, that guy's going to be the face of your organization as well. So you have to make sure that, there's no red flags there. They're able to handle media. They're able to handle basically everything thrown their way. And outside of that, it's one of those things where you're looking at it from the aspect of, okay, so now we have this guy who can do this. Then we get into like, okay, where does he have room to grow?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think those are some huge traits to try to find your guy, and not every quarterback has it. And I guess this is the tension I feel amongst a lot of like Colts fans, especially because Chris Ballard has been such a staunch believer in locker room guys with high character, and all those sorts of things. Like, where do you kind of draw the line, I guess? Where is the fine line between talent and then maybe taking a risk on a guy's character? Like, where do you stand kind of in the middle of that? Because, there's guys that the Colts probably have passed on, whether it's in free agency or whether it's in the draft, because of character concerns. But like, at what point do you say, you know what, like this guy's talent is too big and too great and too immense to pass?
Well, there's an old saying within the scouting community and guys, and actually it's funny because I saw it pop up the other day on Twitter, I believe. Stephen Burton, I think he might have been the one that tweeted out, which is kind of funny, but it's something that I've always kind of heard as well, and that is talent determines the floor, character determines the ceiling. And what that means is talented guys, they have shots to succeed regardless of their character in the NFL. Whether, that's what the NFL is built around is talent. But where you have guys that can surpass that talent and hit that ceiling, guys like Josh Allen, guys like Jalen Hurts, guys that come out and they do have the talent and they have that floor, but the character and who they are as workers, who they are as individuals is what sets them apart from other guys. Where we see Jamarcus Russell, a guy that I don't know his personal character, I don't know him personally, but from listening to what has been said from people within that organization, he didn't have much of a work ethic, and guy had all the talent in the world, and even then he wasn't just like the worst quarterback that's ever played the game. I mean, if you really go back and look at it, he still did some good things because of how immensely talented he was. But where he failed and became, a bust and all that stuff, that word bust, is because he didn't have the character or the work ethic. So that to me, and it seems to be, for Chris Ballard too, and I'm sure, I'll catch heat for that because Chris Ballard's not looking too good right now in the eyes of a lot of people as well. But it really does determine a huge, huge factor in how these guys end up. And that's why you're looking for those guys that have that work ethic, that character, that ability to step in and be leaders, not, like I said, not just in the locker room, but outside of the locker room, and be representatives for not only your team, but for your city and your state.
Last question I have for you here, Landon. You look at this 2023 draft in terms of quarterbacks, right? There's definitely some talented guys here. Where the Colts currently stand, who do you think are some of those guys that you think should be, no question, guys the Colts need to take an opportunity? If they have an opportunity, they need to get those guys.
Well, there's three guys in mind to me right now that I think are possible just day one guys that can come in and, depending on their growth, can give you some good stuff. And that's C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State. That is Will Levis out of Kentucky. And that's Anthony Richardson out of Florida. And Richardson's obviously the most raw of those three guys. His floor is a little bit lower, but his ceiling is so much higher than basically everybody in this draft, where Will Levis is kind of a mix, of he does seem to have a safer floor than Anthony Richardson, but he also has a very high ceiling. And CJ Stroud he might not have the ceiling that some of these other guys have, as far as athletic ability and stuff like that, but where he's very, very safe is, from the quarterbacking perspective of, the guy's got a photographic memory, extremely, extremely bright kid, can make all the throws. He's able to process information very quickly and get through reads. Those are all things that translate. So CJ Stroud has a safe floor, not quite as high of a ceiling. Richardson, lower floor, extremely high ceiling. And then Levis is somewhere kind of in the middle of the two. So I think those should be the three guys that, if they're sitting there on the board, or if one of them's there on the board, those should be no-brainer picks for this class.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming on here, Landon, talking a few minutes about this whole quarterback process, how this is the first kind of normal, if you will, according to the rest of the NFL process the Colts are going to have to go through here for a quarterback. Let us know, man, where people can find you, your work, all that stuff. I know you mentioned, you just finished up a few things around a few of these quarterbacks. Where can some of these guys, some of these people who are listening find you?
Well, of course, you can find me on Twitter at Landon3MR. The 3MR stands for Three Man Rush. That is another podcast I do with two of my best friends. We focus on a broad spectrum of NFL topics, including games, draft, fantasy, all that kind of stuff that we do. And then, of course, if you're into the Colt stuff, you can find me on the Blue Stable as well. We put out videos like that. And for draft coverage, I will also be heading up the Blue Stable's draft coverage. So as we get closer there, you can find me on any of those 3 sites. And appreciate the support.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to check out Landon and all his stuff he's going on around Blue Stable, 3-Man Rush podcast, all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.
What's going on, everybody? Today, I want to talk to you about our sponsor, BetStamp. Now, I know what you're thinking. Derek, another betting app? What is so different about this one now? Well, I got to tell you guys, I'm not into online gambling a whole lot and bets online and everything, but I got to tell you, BetStamp is one of the coolest things I have ever seen in regards to betting online. The great thing about BetStamp is it allows you to see all the different odds from all different sports books and see which one provides you the best odds possible for any game or scenario you want to bet on for your pick versus some of the worst. BetStamp allows you to also buy and sell picks that you have without worrying about losing your money or having any issues with it. Believe me, it's all free. I mean, look at this, guys. You have an option for every game across all different kinds of leagues in a ton of different ways. You have baseball, you have college football, UFC, NBA, and NFL. Great for the NFL season now being here. And if I wanted to bet on this Tennessee Titans versus Buffalo Bills game, it shows me in real time what are the best odds, which sports book I'm going to get the best offer from versus some of the worst ones. Because why would you want to earn less money from PointsBet when you could be winning more from ProLine Plus? Again, a great thing that BetStamp offers you, allowing you to make more money for the same pick just with a different sports book. How easy is that? And the great thing is there's not just games. There's player props, there's game props, there's lines, there's live tracking. There's a ton of great ways to make bets and picks on BetStamp, guys. Totally a cool thing to use. I highly encourage you check it out if you're into any kind of online betting. Even if you're not, give it a check. See what you like about it, because I think I actually enjoy using it. But the best way to get an edge on online sports betting is having multiple accounts at different sports books. Be sure to hit the BetLink page, betstamp.app/onboarding. Be sure to check out the BetStamp app or online, and be sure to use the referral code JUICE, plug in your state, and you'll get access to all their affiliates and their prices once you open it up, seeing all states' lines. Be sure to check this out, guys. You won't want to miss it for the best odds on your next sports bet.